What a time to be alive. Oh, and look at that little be there as well.
There
Don't
we
know who
are.
that is. Yeah, that's a bit later. Um,
This is one of the rare times when you've referenced that book at a period when an album came out and said, "What a time to be alive," and I actually was
was.
alive. So this
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. My name's John. His name is Andy. Ah, give me you're hungry, you're tired, you're poor. I'll piss on them. That's what the statue of bigotry says. Your poor huddled masses, let's club them to death and get it over with and just dump them on the boulevard. More on that later. But first, we've got a track to listen to, and because it's Friday, yes, it is, we have a song carefully selected by one of our wonderful viewers. The viewer in question is CG Studios, the Bacon Bro. Uh, Wise words. They left a comment on an episode Beach Goons AM live on Audio Tree, and they have suggested a track by a band we've already covered once before, and that is The Streets,
okay, yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah. The
and
the
which Andy listened to. Turn the page,
turn the page. That was one that you had offered up. God, that was like 2 years ago or something like that.
something like that, probably
Yeah,
more. Yeah.
Jesus. All right,
So
well,
they
I'm
have,
looking forward to getting into some more of them. It's been a minute since we've checked them out. I
yeah.
remember their sound. I don't remember all the bits of information you gave me about them, so it'd be nice to kind of revisit and get more of that. But yeah, it was hip hop type stuff, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to hearing what else is in store here from them.
Yes, with a very distinct British flavour. So this track is called What Is He Thinking?
Okay, what is he thinking? It's a hell of a question. All right. Well, I've got everything I need. I will go off and, give them a listen and come back and let you and CG Studio the Bacon Bro know what I've made of it.
Okay.
He's fucking lying, I know he is. It's written all over his face. I wish I could read what his eyes are saying, staring straight and not blinking. He's not giving anything away. What is he thinking? I wish I could read what his eyes are saying, staring straight and not blinking. He's not giving anything away. What is he thinking?
Okay, so just want to stop because it sounds like it's going to transition to another part after two repetitions of whatever that portion is. Yeah, this is it. First word that came to mind, I guess, about 7 or 8 seconds into this is cinematic, and that's because it has this kind of intensity to it, as well as just an overall feeling of tension within it. So, and the music, the way that it's almost like a score. Now I'm sure this is probably manufactured on some keys and a soundboard and not traditional instruments. Nonetheless, there is this bow on string kind of like orchestral staccato-y tension that I mean, God, there's got to be tens of thousands of examples of that throughout film and even theater, where musical theater, where it's that sound is meant to capture the feeling of like anywhere for any form of tension, including like animus or hostility, as well as a bit of an air of mystery too, or intrigue. So all that is like sort of conveyed in the very early goings of the song, and then instantly there is this kind of contentious opening bit, like what the fuck is he thinking, and trying to understand what is behind someone's eyes and what they might know that you don't. I mean, as the name of the track would suggest. But yeah, instantly we're kind of thrown in the deep end of all of those feelings, and I'm picking up on it. You'd be hard pressed not to. So yeah, let's see where we go from here.
Can't seem to do anything but stare. My CP coat is lying just there, draped over the edge of that dusty chair. All fits into place suddenly. Yeah, the coat was hanging up under my stairs, but one day it went, leaving the cupboard bare. The facts all clicking and become square. He stole it while I was unaware, but why's he denying it when it's so vague? Looking at the telly, won't look over straight. Why is he not flapping and explaining away to one very fucking frustrated mate? Dan's been trusting every word Scott says. He believes in mates, fair play. But Scott's story is too far outweighed, and I'm gonna act before it's too late. I wish I could read what his eyes are saying, staring straight and not blinking.
Alright, so I don't know if this is really about a coat, or if the coat is sort of the linchpin piece of evidence, or what it is, why this is all centered around a jacket, and whose jacket it exactly belongs to is a little unclear to me. I don't know, I'm trying to pick up on this, but between the and forgive me, the accent that I'm not super familiar with, especially when it's coming at you rapid fire like that, as well as I think like slang or colloquial terms, trying to pick up on as much as I can, but it definitely sounded like something about a coat, and then these, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 people, like the narrator and Scott and Dan, or one of them is Scott or Dan, and it's just 2 people having a, I don't know, but it's interesting, and it sounds pointed, and I don't know, it's all I know is that it's about a jacket at this point, and maybe who or it does or doesn't belong to, but it sounds much bigger than just an altercation or an inquisition about only a jacket, right? So, I don't know, we'll see where it goes.
He's not giving anything away. What is he thinking? I wish I could read what his eyes are saying, staring straight and not blinking. He's not giving anything away. What is he thinking?
This must all look a bit weird. It's Mike CP coat sitting here, draped over the chair so that it appears to all fit me up suddenly and clear. I'm gonna have to just try and volunteer and answer about the man who left the bomber here. You must have picked it up from Mike's dear girl's house when the weather wasn't clear. The man must have thought it was Simone's coat, but didn't think it was Mike's coat. Though I can't just deny it cause my face shows. Looking at the telly's not aiding, no. I can't tell Mike this man didn't know and innocently borrowed the coat at Simone's, because then Mike would demand to know why this man was even at Simone's.
That frown could mean
What the fuck am I gonna do now? He knows I'm lying.
Wish I could read his mind.
It's written all over my face.
I wish I could read what his eyes are saying.
I picked up, I don't know if it even did this in the first verse, because the first verse I was really trying to cling to whatever this narrative was going to be, so maybe this appeared then too, and if I missed it, forgive me. But in the second verse, which was clearly delivered by another individual, so now I'm starting to think that this is like a flipping of perspectives in this weird situation. Actually, there's a lot to unpack in this too, in this verse, but musically, I think I caught these kind of like exaggerated horn sounds that are really low, and some other higher tinkles at different points, and all of that is doing this same tension building thing where it's just like, what's around this corner, and it's like underscoring each development in the narrative, and I think that is wildly effective. It's kind of subtle in that, like, if you aren't listening for it or trying to pair it up as you're just, in the moment, it might not jump out at you, but as I'm like in sort of this like listener space that I'm in, where I'm having to react and pick up to all these different things. I'm kind of like looking out for them because it's my sole focus. It really does stand out, and it's wildly effective. So I really, really enjoy that. Now, this seems to be from the other person's perspective. I don't know who the getting lost with all these names, these generic male names. They got like Dan, Mike, and Scott. So it sounds like this is the other, whoever delivered the first verse, this is the other individual, and now they're introduced into this mix where we have a Dan, a Scott, a Mike. We now have a Simone, and I don't know if there's lying going on or if there's like subterfuge or like the withholding of information that's happening here, but it smacks of that. And when you you inject the now female character into the narrative, I'm starting to think, is this like I don't know, am I supposed to call it a love triangle? Because now we've got four names. Is like a love square, a love rhombus, a love rectangle. I don't know, but there's multiple people at play here, and it all seems to be centered around a jacket and a lie. Okay.
Staring straight and not blinking. He's not giving anything away. What is he thinking? What is he thinking? I wish I could read what his eyes are saying. Staring straight and not blinking. He's not giving anything away. What is he thinking? What is he thinking? What the fuck's he saying? She had begun. Either he has gone John Barnes, or he's trying to spin me a con's yarn. He thinks he's the fucking Don God. How long have I undergone his smarm? Shrugging it all off as fun charm. If he don't stop looking at the TV though, I'm gonna wrap the cable round his wee throat. Hang on, Scott says Simone had the coat. Where did he see her on the D low? What is it I don't need to know? Is he scheming to be near Simone in the club? I wondered what was on the go. Dan was trying to keep Scott from being close, but Scott teeth my money and he teeth my coat, and he's trying to steal my girlfriend under my nose. I wish I could read what his eyes are saying, staring straight and not blinking. He's not giving anything away. What is he thinking? What is he thinking?
Alright, so it sounds like, okay, I think I have this right. God, you guys are gonna kill me if I don't, and hey, that's on me. But I think Mike is the guy who has been wronged in some way, shape, or form, who is on paper Simone's partner. And then his two friends or people that he knows are Scott and Dan. Okay, and he's starting. It sounds like this is a back and forth between he and Scott, and he feels that Scott has tried to steal on his lady, and apparently has taken a coat and some money as well. I think if I caught that correctly, or that at least is the allegation here. And that, I don't know, Dan, at some point Dan injected himself into it. I don't know. I'm gonna have to. There's going to be a lot of gaps to fill in here, but let's see where this goes. Interesting and intriguing stuff, which again, like it's almost turning into a whodunit at this point. So the music is only adding to that vibe.
I wish I could read what his eyes are saying, staring straight and not blinking. He's not giving anything away. What is he thinking? What is he thinking?
Right, I can't be bothered with this no more. I'm gonna have to tell him I owe him the score. I wish I could tell him about the dough on the drawers, but that's something I don't know. I swore the coat thing will look dodgy loads more if I don't throw it down as the crow soars. I'd better put the video on pause, face up toe to toe over the floor. He really needs to know how his jacket miraculously appeared round my gaff here, and the man that left it's been shagging Mike's girl behind my back and ting. This shit's all got a bit out of hand. There's no options, I'm all down on plans. I'm just gonna have to spit it now. Man, tell Mike the person that brought the coat round was Dan.
Oh shit. It was the one-armed Dan. Okay, so wow, interesting stuff here. Okay, so it sounds like, I guess, uh, I guess Scott's in a weird place where like he's friends with both Dan and Mike, and kind of wants to keep his hands clean of all this bullshit, but is getting pulled into it by the random placement of a jacket, of a coat. Um, and I guess he was trying not to lie to Mike, but also not trying to throw Dan under the bus. Well, screw Dan in this equation. Dan done wrong, and Dan's got to answer to that. Yeah, this is really interesting stuff. So I think I have that right. I don't know. There were a lot of names to keep up with. I mean, it was coming. It wasn't coming rapid fire, but I mean, it was a lot of important information to retain coming at you pretty steadily there. But I think I got the gist of it with an interesting little twist there at the end, and it wasn't who the narrator had suspected, which can kind of go to show you how much paranoia can do to a person and torment them when they're in a situation like Mike. I hope I have that right. But yeah, it was a really cool beat. The music and the overall feeling and mood of the narrative went together so well. And I thought that this was really interesting and well put together. So yeah, that's, I guess, 2 for 2 now with the streets that we've done on this channel. I've really enjoyed both tracks. Yeah, this is interesting stuff. I'd be interested to hear how much of this I got correct, or if I'm even in the same stratosphere as what was being conveyed. I think I am, though. And hopefully John can illustrate that for me and maybe fill in the gaps where I may be misguided, and also provide some interesting information about this album. If I can't remember, I don't know if this is the same one. I assume it is. But it's been, I think the last time we covered this band was, or this act was 2023 maybe. So he can knock the dust off for me regardless. So let's get back to him and chop it up.
Hootie patootie, he's back. So you've had listened to the streets, and what we're all asking ourselves is, what is he thinking?
I guess I'm the he in this equation.
You must.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed listening to this. It was I'm not gonna lie, at points it was like between the accent and the colloquial kind of verbiage that's being used here, aka slang. It was hard for me to piece everything together. Now I can go out on a limb with some of those words and kind of, make ends meet. So it wasn't that incredibly hard, but you also have 4 characters in this and at least 2 different perspectives. So all of this made for like a lot of extrapolating and connecting the dots and making a couple assumptions here and trying to try to get it to all make sense. And I think I've gotten there in the end, but you can help me, but go on.
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil it for you, by giving you prejudgment. So the whole album is a narrative, and this is an episode within it. So if you've listened to the album, it helps.
Sure, I
Not
would
necessarily, but it adds to it.
Okay. Well, that bit of context makes sense. At least, I mean, it doesn't help my experience at all because I've yet to listen to the whole album, but it does help in understanding that it would be an easier go if I sat down with the album and just kind of ran through it, and everything would probably come a little bit easier to me. Nonetheless, I think I've done a fairly decent job, although who knows, you can rip the wind right beneath my wings and bring me back down to earth and tell me how wrong I am, but I think I've done all right with this one. And it's interesting because the song begins with a bright and resonant tinkling note, as if to say, like, begin. And that's soon joined by this ominous, I would assume, manufactured orchestral music that instantly creates this large cinematic feel to the track. And it fits it perfectly. Like this idea of what sounds like it could be a score to a scene in a, piece of musical theater or television or film is perfect for this, because that's a bit of what we've got a bit of a daytime drama on our hands. We got a little bit of a soap opera, a modern day soap opera unfolding before us. Now, I didn't know that out of the gate, but armed with hindsight, I can, I think that assessment rings true. In short order, the vocalist begins to deliver this tense spoken word narrative, where he's like, he's fucking lying. I know he is. It's written all over his face. And he's soon accompanied by this also kind of manufactured beat, in that, I don't imagine somebody sitting by a kit on this one. But it all works, and there's this tense mood that's created in the opening salvo, and it doesn't relent as the singer continues to make observations about this male figure with unblinking eyes, that really don't provide much insight into what's happening behind them. And our narrator wants to know what he's thinking or what he knows. The singer then goes the route of providing a bit of context and anecdotal evidence, but without explicitly positing his suspicions. He seems to be harping on the status of this coat throughout, draped over the edge of a dusty chair. Then he'd reference it hanging up under his stairs, and it being stolen by this he the singer continues to reference, though he denies it. And then we finally get some names dropped in the form of Dan and Scott. And that Scott is trying to dodge an inquisition about the status of said jacket and how it got there. But I think it might be something larger at play here. After all, I can't imagine many songs were inspired by the act of stealing another man's coat. So
You forget the classic song, Where's My Jumper?
yeah. And
Are you familiar with that song?
No, I'm not.
Dancing in the disco, bumper to bumper. Wait a minute. Where's my jumper? Where's my jumper?
So he's reached the point of wondering where the jumper is, but he hasn't graduated to throwing accusations around.
No, that's in the next album. We can't rush these things.
To be continued, right? I also think, once you said that, I instantly thought of Undone, the Sweater song, where it's not the stealing of the sweater, but it's the destruction of one in question here. So yeah, I suppose we have a few garment related tunes out there, but not as many as what I'm starting to think this song is actually about, which is some sort of tryst. So we are then treated to another couple iterations of what I now recognize to be the chorus, in which the singer ponders on what this guy might be thinking, the eyes and all that fun stuff. The next verse kicks off, and after this, and it sounds like it is being delivered by a different vocalist altogether. So the subject matter doesn't change, however. It's just the perspective does, which is why we have the introduction of another voice who then represents another one of these characters that we were introduced to, or was referenced, I assume, in the previous verse. This whole coat caper thing is coming to a head, and we also get the addition of the name Mike. Now, I'm starting to think that Mike is the OG from the first verse, and whoever this is one of the other two gentlemen well, at this point, I don't know if it's Scott or Dan, because it doesn't really explicitly say. You know that it's one of those two. Those are your options. So that's kind of where I'm at this point in the song. So yeah, I'm inclined to think that either Scott or Dan is who is going at it here, and the first individual is Mike. Throughout this verse, the music becomes more tense. And now I don't know if I didn't notice this in the first one, or if it just stood out to me in the second one, because I was really trying to get my sea legs as far as narrative is concerned as the first verse was being delivered. But there are these, what sounds like this deep brass note that's adding even more like tension, like this. And there's also higher little things that are happening every now and again, but that deeper note really kind of accents the tension of the whole narrative that's continuing to kind of snowball here. So interesting stuff. We're also introduced to a woman named Simone in this verse, who appears to be the girlfriend of one of the many characters in the story, I think Mike, which is then verified as we go on. But I can't really put my finger on who's who here and who might have done what, especially when it comes to Dan and Scott. But it is beginning to sound a lot like some form of infidelity took place here. And with the brief next portion featuring both vocalists, it becomes clear that Mike is the boyfriend of Simone, so that's verified. And that the other guy is either the one who she cheated with, or at the very least, knows more about the situation than he wants to let on. But I still don't know if that's Scott or Dan at this point. So the song revisits the chorus before furthering the tale in the form of the next verse, and now our wronged party is beginning to piece things together in this moment of revelation. And the next verse sounds like the friend who might know more about the situation is finally ready to at least come clean about the coat situation, if for no other reason than to clear his own name, which is either Scott or Dan. I know that much. So after some internal struggle about how best to reveal to Mike that his girl has been cheating on him and with whom, the narrator reveals that it was actually Dan who had been shagging Simone, and thus also confirms for me that this voice belongs to Scott. It all makes sense now. And ironically, it sounds to me a lot like this old bint Simone really belongs to the streets. Am I right, John? Uh, so, uh, yeah, this was an interesting tune, but for someone who isn't completely familiar with British slang or colloquialisms, it was hard for me to piece together in real time. Now, by the third verse, the first and second started making a whole lot more sense to me, thank God. So I didn't have to go back and listen to it again. I mean, I will, because it was a really cool track, and I kind of at the point now where I'd like to maybe see more about this album, especially given that it's kind of a larger narrative, or at the very least, loosely a larger narrative. But it was kind of hard for me to piece together in real time. So I felt like I was up until the third verse, like one step behind, especially with the amount of characters involved. Um, and some of the like there was a reference to an individual's name who is not Dan, Mike, Scott, or Simone that I had no idea who that was. But I'm sure you'll make sense of it. I'm sure it's like a pop culture reference or something like that. And there are other terms too, like teefed. I don't know if that means
Yeah.
stolen or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Thief.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so I was able to kind of make sense of it, but it didn't like instantly ring a bell for me when I heard some of these words. So I had to kind of like let it settle in my mind, if you will. Nonetheless, it didn't take away from the enjoyment of the song. It was tense, it was moody, it was very, and I'll use this word again and underscore it, cinematic in its drama, which I found to be engrossing subject matter. So yeah, this was an interesting listen with some intriguing twists and turns. But I'm still not certain I picked up on each of them, though you gave me a few head nods of like affirmation, so I'm feeling a bit better than I did when I initially re-entered the chat here. So tell me a bit more about this track, John.
Yeah, thanks for that, Andy. I think this is do you know when I saw this on the list, I thought this is an interesting shout and not the song I'd have picked off this album for you.
Okay.
But then again, listening to it again, it's been a minute since I listened to this album. I really got straight back into it, and I really love this album. I think it's fantastic, and
Nice.
it's got the way he does things. It keeps it simple. There's repetition and things like that, which is part of the song landing. So the narrative is never complicated. He does make the most complicated version of whose coat is this anyway. I mean, you know, but it's simple enough. It's not Chekhov. Um,
I
so
one really quick before you jump into it. One minor critique that I totally give them a hall pass for because of you're adhering to a large narrative here, and when you're trying to tell a story that instantly kind of also within the structure of like music and beats and measures and all this stuff, the having to be liberal with the pronunciation of words or the breaking up of syllables within words, especially towards the latter part of the song
yeah, yeah,
when it's Scott who's delivering it. A couple times, like, this isn't exactly the most flowy hip hop I've ever heard in my entire
Yeah,
life. There's some road bumps in some of these words, but it's all that you understand it. It's almost implicit as to why that would occur and the constraints and confines within their, that they're working within. So I give them a hall pass, but it did make me kind of like go,
yeah. Well, it's kind of like a bump at the end of the line each time, like a finger jab. Da da da
yeah,
da 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 da
yeah,
da 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 da.
yeah,
And it's quite heavy-handed in the way it's
yes,
delivered. Um, and this is a thing that, it's a real, true British voice here. And it kind of this is a real sort of seminal album in terms of it gave. You didn't have to sound like Americans to do hip hop.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's a
That's
mixture
fair
of hip hop
too.
and
Right.
garage and stuff like that. So it's a real British voice, and it made a massive impact. So as mentioned before, we previously have covered the streets in episodes Turn the Page. I'll put the link in below and go on about Mickey Skinner and all that sort of stuff there. I'll concentrate on this for the time being. So the album, A Grand Don't Come for Free. It's that one there. This is from the second album. The first one you listened to was the opening track from the first album,
Oh,
Streets.
good, good. That's another thing that I wanted to kind of put together if this
Yeah.
was the same album or not. Okay.
So this was released. This album was released in May 2004. It is apparently a rap opera and a
Hmm.
concept album that follows a story of its protagonist's relationship with a girl called Simone, along with the mysterious loss of £1,000 from his home, the eponymous Grand.
Okay,
So
so that's why they kept harping on the money as well as the coat, because I,
yeah,
I think of the things that they bitched about were the coat, the money, and the girl. So
yeah,
there you go. I got
probably
you.
in that order.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will go through the story. Right? So in the story, the protagonist loses £1,000 or a grand in slang terms, and he strives to recoup the money, but everything's getting away and grab his attention. So in his book, The Story of the Streets, Mike Skinner explained his decision to create a story that ran through the whole album. In quotes, the reason I decided to write A Grand Don't Come for Free as episodes from a single unfolding narrative was because I got so into my songwriting manuals and books by Hollywood screenwriting gurus. For example, Robert McKee, who he later went and visited and had a whole thing with. And I tried to put what I learned from them into practice. Each song needs drama at the center of it, and once you have the drama, the song writes itself. That's what I firmly believed and still do believe. I'm not alone in this conviction either. It's something pretty much all rappers seem to be sure about. So, in the first track of the album, it was supposed to be so easy. Skinner, he basically outlines what's going on, and he has several attempts to do in the day, and he's trying to tick them off, but they don't go according to plan. So, he's got to return the DVD that he rented out, but he takes it back and finds the box is empty and the DVD is still back in his player. He has to withdraw money from the bank, but he finds he's got insufficient funds. He's then unable to call his mum because his battery on his phone is running out. And when he gets home, he can't find the £1,000 which he's saved up, and his television is broken. So, in the process of this, trying to resolve it, he starts to see a woman called Simone who works in JD Sports, which is like a footwear, foot and sort of sportswear shop. And she works there with his friend Dan. And that's covered in the song Could Well Be In, where he goes on for about he's seen a documentary about if the girl plays with her hair, I could well be in there. It's really funny. He then tries to recover the £1,000 by gambling on football. After a series of wins, he frustratingly can't get to the bookmakers in time to make this big bet. And luckily, his prediction is wrong, and it is his lucky day. And the song is covers that. It's called "Not Addicted." He then goes to a nightclub, but he's stood up by Simone, and he passes the time by drinking and taking pills. And he gets so out of his tits. He said, "No, it doesn't work. I'll take another one. This is rubbish." They're like, "Oh, hang on a minute," and he goes all like Pete Tong, and he thinks he sees Simone kissing Dan, but he's so like out off his face, he doesn't really know about it. And it distracts him before he can think about it properly. And that's the song "Blinded by the Lights," which is really cool. He then moves the next song. He moves into Simone's house. and he finds himself very comfortable just sitting around on her sofa, smoking weed, rather than going out and drinking with his friends at the pub. And the song wouldn't have it any other way. He then argues with Simone and gets kicked out of her house. And the song "Get Out of My House." um, then um, he poses to try and impress a girl at a takeaway restaurant during a heavy night out when he's on holiday with the boys, with the song "Fit But You Know It," which is a fantastic song. And I think there's an Arctic Monkeys song or two that was based on this, or sorry, inspired by this, I would say, not based because it don't sound the same, but probably, Still Take You Home or, Good on
Yeah,
the Dance
right.
Floor.
Yeah, yeah.
Either of those two sentiment comes from, the sensibilities come from this. He flies back from the holiday and remorsefully reviews the events to a phone call to his friend, realizing that he still wants to be with Simone. And the song is called Such a Twat.
Seems
He
great.
suspects his mate Scott of stealing his coat, his money, and his girlfriend, but discovers that Simone is actually having an affair with Dan. What is he thinking? He then meets up with Simone to try and patch things up, but she breaks up with him, and the song is called Dry Your Eyes. It's a classic. And then the final track, Empty Cans, has a bit of another cinematic technique. It has two narratives, two endings. So the first one is a bitter ending where he hates everybody and he admits they all hates him. And the TV repairman comes round to fix his TV and he's not having anything and they get into a fight. Um, and then it kind of rewinds and it starts again. Dum, dum, dum. And in the latter one, he reconciles with his mates and he finds that the missing £1,000 had fallen down the back of the TV, making it not work in the first place. And huzzah! Happy ending. Um, so, like the original album, sorry, the first album, original Pirate Material, it was recorded in his flat in South London. But this time he had his own flat in Stockwell, which he bought with the money from signing his publishing deal. So the first single off the album, "Fit But You Know It," reached number 4 in the UK singles chart, which I think is incredible.
Mm.
However, "Dry Your Eyes" entered the charts at number 1
Oh,
straight
wow.
in.
So when you said
Um,
that was the classic, you meant it. That wasn't just a bit of your opinion. It charted really well there.
And it really sort of, I mean, "dry your eyes" is a phrase people use all the time when someone's like a bit upset. Someone's
Yeah.
like, cuts you up and they go in the car and they go, "Oh, hey, very wacky. All right, dry your eyes, mate."
Yeah.
It's a great comeback. Harry Hill did a great version of it on his show. It was just hilarious. The album itself reached number 1 in the UK and number 82 in the States, which is no mean feat for a sort of hip hoppy, garagey British album.
Uh-huh.
Um, Critical response to the album, like the previous, was universally positive. It scored 91 on
Wow.
Metacritic, slightly higher than original Pirate, which scored 90. The Guardian said the album raised the stakes to such an extent it sounds literally unprecedented. There really isn't another album like this. Pop Matters wrote that Skinner is now a class of his own. No one else is making music like this. A Rolling Stone called "A Grand Don't Come for Free" the best British hip hop concept album ever, and said it is both simpler in sound and scope than Pirate and more ambitious. His real gift is literary. The story is thoroughly mundane, yet Skinner's ear for language and detail keeps it vivid and hilarious. And I think that's spot on because it is really a very simple tale. Even going on about whose bloody coat is that, but he makes it still interesting with the minutiae.
Hmm.
Um, Blender wrote in a previous decade, "A Grand Don't Come for Free" would have been a rock opera and would have taken itself very seriously. But Skinner isn't interested in pinball wizards or ancient alien races. It demands the same attention as a movie, and that's why some people hate it, while others will find it uniquely riveting.
John,
So th-
I would add just about like the how mundane maybe the subject matter is or whatever. You're right, but it's also that makes it inherently more
True.
relatable
Yeah.
because the typical Joe that's going to buy the album and relate to the music has experienced more situations like that than some of the pinball wizardry and the intergalactic bullshit that you
Yeah,
alluded
yeah.
to that some other artists might cover. So, which I'm having to be a fan of too, some of that crazy outside the box shit. But from a relatability standpoint, this is an everyman kind of story. You could, how do you not relate to some of the stuff he's talking about?
Yeah, in 2004, you're talking the height of this sort of wanky gold chainy sort of hip hop that was going on in America, where
Yes.
you know it would get a bit silly.
Yeah, boats and hose era of
Yeah,
rappers.
all of that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Our friend of the channel, Robert Kraskow, described it as dodgy, plotting, obscure bit with Simone's coat leads to sad ending with a twist. That was his summary of the song. Um, Enemy placed the album at number 16 and its top 50 albums of the noughties. The album certified as 4 times platinum in the UK, and it is listed in the book. 1001 albums you must hear before dinner time. And here it is here. There's Deborah. Um, and there we go. There is a beautiful, beautiful cover. Rufus Wainwright on the same page. We will skip over The Killer's Hot Fuss. Not so fond of it now as I was when it came out. And the other way, College Dropout, CeeLo Green, TV on the Radio, Franz Ferdinand, another great album, actually, to
Yeah.
be fair. What a time to be alive. Oh, and look at that little be there as well.
There
Don't
we
know who
are.
that is. Yeah, that's a bit later. Um,
This is one of the rare times when you've referenced that book at a period when an album came out and said, "What a time to be alive," and I actually was
was.
alive. So this is great. We can both agree on that.
Okay, but lyrics. The Scott parts are sung by Wayne G,
Okay.
and that's as much as I know. So, intro, Mike Skinner. He's fucking lying. I know he is. It's written all over his face. Chorus. I wish I could read what his eyes are saying, staring straight and not blinking. He's not giving anything away. What is he thinking? What is he thinking? I wish I could read what his eyes are saying, staring straight and not blinking. He's not giving anything away. What is he thinking? What is he thinking? Can't just stop me if any of these words are like, you know, I'm sure you're pretty fun on, but if you need an explanation.
Mm.
Can't seem to do anything but stare. My CP coat is just lying just there.
CP.
I've not heard that expression before. It's just
Oh, this is
probably
going
like
really well.
probably a puffer jacket or something like that.
Okay.
CP.
Okay. Gotcha.
Draped over the edge of that dusty chair, all fits into place suddenly. Yeah. The coat was hanging up under my stairs, but one day it went leaving the cupboard bare. The facts will click in and become square. He stole it while I was unaware. But why is he denying it when it's so bait? Looking at the telly won't look over straight. Why is he not flapping and explaining away to one very fucking frustrated mate? Dan's been trusting every word Scott says. He believes in mates. Fair play. But Scott's story is too far outweighed, and I'm going to act before it's too late. I wish you could read what his eyes are saying and stare straight and not blinking. He's not giving it away. What is he thinking? What is he thinking? Again. Wayne G, this must all look a bit weird. It's Mike's CP coat sitting here, draped over the chair so that it appears to all fit me up suddenly and clear. I'm just going to have to try and volunteer. An answer about the man who left the bomber here. It is a bomber jacket. He must have picked up from Mike's dear girl's house when the weather wasn't clear. The man must have thought it was Simone's coat, but didn't think it was Mike's coat, though. I can't just deny it because my face shows. Look at the telly's not aiding. No, I can't tell Mike this man didn't know and innocently borrowed the coat at Simone's, because then Mike would demand to know why this man was even at Simone's.
Mm-hmm.
Bridgie Pop, that frown could mean anything. What the fuck am I going to do now? He knows I'm lying. I wish I could read his mind. It's written all over my face. I wish I could read what his eyes are saying, staring straight and not blinking. He's not getting rid of the way. What is he thinking? What is he thinking? Again, back with Mike. What the fuck's he saying she's had, the garm? Either he has gone John Barnes or he's trying to spin.
That's the name, John Barnes.
I don't know why he says John Barnes, because it must be some sort of specialist slang. John Barnes was a football player.
Okay.
He was of he's British, but of Afro-Caribbean sort of heritage. Who did he play for? I think it was Watford, then Liverpool, famously, and England. Really good player. Really good
Okay.
player. Or he's trying to spin me a con's yarn. He thinks he's the fucking Don Gar. How long have I gone under his smarm? Shrugging it all off as fun, charm. If you don't stop looking at that TV, though, I'm going to wrap this cable around his wee throat.
Hmm.
Hang on, Scott said Simone had the coat. Where did he see her on the D low? What was it I didn't need to know? Is he scheming to be near Simone? In the club, I wondered what was on the go. Dan was trying to keep Scott from being close. And Scott teethed my money and he teethed my coat. And he's trying to steal my girl from under my nose. I wish I could read what his eyes are saying, stand straight up blinking. He's not getting away. What is he thinking? What is he thinking? Again. Wayne G. Right, I can't be bothered with this no more. I'm going to have to tell him I owe him the score. I wish you could tell him about the dough on the drawers. That's something I don't know, I swore. The coat thing will look dodgy loads more if I don't throw it down as a crow soars. I better put the video on pause, face up to toe over the floor. He really needs to know how his jacket miraculously appeared round my gaff here, and the man that's been left, it's been shagging Mike's girl behind Mike's back and ting. This shit's all got a bit out of hand. There's no options. I'm all down on plans. I'm just going to have to spill it now, man. Tell Mike the person that brought the coat round was Dan. Dun, dun, dun. Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, he has a style all to himself, Mike Skinner. He really does. And it is this sort of everyman, you know. So, as you say, it makes it relatable, makes it true. It does a song about having too many brandies in a pub and peeling labels off beers, and it's all things we do, you know. It's just the minutiae of being skint and
Right.
betting on horses that come in last, and you know all that sort of Birmingham City losing again, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, this is a really good album, which I'm very fond of. And it's a real slice of sort of Britishness as well. But I think it is a tough ask to listen to songs in isolation. Maybe Dry Your Eyes or Your Fit, don't you know it? But I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like some of the Deer Hunter you maybe listen to that's like across 18 albums or whatever the fuck
Exactly.
it
I was
is, you
thinking
know?
right when you brought that up, I was like, well, speaking of unfair, then color me guilty.
But it's more enjoyable as a whole. It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. I could get that. But to be fair, I still enjoyed this. And I'm was able to make sense of the narrative here, even if it is part of a larger narrative that I've not yet been exposed to. I was still able to at least enjoy it for this, you know, moment of infidelity and the drama surrounding it just within this, 4 or 5 minute track. Question: the Turn the Page, the album on which that features, also another concept album or just an assortment of tracks?
Just really assortment of tracks, but it's
Okay.
kind of stating who he is. You
Right.
know, it's
Yeah.
like little character insights, you know. Yeah, okay, I shall wrap things up. So yeah, I think this was unexpectedly turned out a very good shout
Yeah.
by CG Studios, the Bacon Bro, and nothing but the bacon. So thanks for dropping this. Yeah, it was great to listen to it again,
I
and we
really enjoyed
both
it.
really, yeah, we both enjoyed it. Brilliant. I'll wrap things up. Thanks, Andy. Folks out there, please tell us what you think. If you like this, do hit the like button and drop some comments. What you think about this track and this album. Um, Harry Hill's version of Dry Your Eyes, which I thought was just fantastic. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you. If you've got a track that you'd like us to listen to, please just drop a comment in any of the episodes. We will see it. Provided that at least one of us doesn't know it,
Yeah.
we'll add it to the list. And then we will then go through the list and we will slowly trudge towards infinity. Um, if you haven't subscribed already, please do as well. We do appreciate everybody who does support the channel. Big help. And we're moving onwards and upwards with your support. So thanks for that. That being said, thanks again so much for watching. We'll see all of you in the next episode of The Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.